All right. Good morning or good afternoon to you guys. And welcome everyone to the very first MIT Global Teaching Lab Sudan. We're the team from Zahra for Education. And it's our great pleasure to welcome you here today to see the great work that the students have been doing so far. We wanted to go live just a little bit before our first group so that we can introduce you to the initiative and let you know what we've been doing these past 2 weeks. Right, so the MIT Global Teaching Labs is supported by the MISTI office, which is the MIT International Science and Technology Initiatives office. We're very grateful to have their support. We organized this class with the MIT philosophy in mind and mind in hand, with the meaning that we wanted to make this education interactive, a two-way communication between the students and the teachers, and to give the students a chance to have applied learning and critical thinking. So what you're about to watch is the students' capstone group project. They worked in 8 groups to put together an impactful project for change. Zahra for Education is a student-led initiative started in the summer of 2020. The main mission that we have is to expand educational opportunities between Sudan and the United States. So this program is our pilot program, our very first program that we put together, and this is our first cohort of students. We have 50 students that were accepted into the course, and we're very grateful to have them and have had a great experience with them over the past 2 weeks. Our students represent a very broad cross-section of Sudanese society. They are high school and college students from all over Sudan. They come from 10 of the 18 states in Sudan and represent over 15 cities. So we're very grateful for the diversity in the class, and we've learned a lot from the different perspectives of students. Now we want to give a chance to introduce the Zahra team. I'm Ilham Ali. I'm the founder of Zahra and also one of the teachers of the course. I'm a master's student at MIT in the Technology and Policy program. I study satellite remote sensing and its applications for sustainable development. I did my undergraduate at the University of Alabama, and it's my great pleasure to be doing this course here together with my colleagues. So I'm going to give them all a chance to introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Abdullah Osman. I'm a senior at MIT studying mechanical engineering with a minor in energy studies. I am currently residing with my family in Fairfax, Virginia. And it's really been a pleasure being a instructor, a teacher in this course and working with all of the students. And I'm excited to share with you their final presentations today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tandalurtu Sheikh Slamini. I'm also a first-year master's student in the Technology and Policy program. And it has been so exciting to work with Ilham and Abdallah and the rest of the Zahra team to teach and engage with students from Sudan. I am from the Kingdom of Eswatini, and so this was also like a great lesson about Sudan for me. At MIT, I am a researcher and I research pollution, particularly mercury pollution from artisanal small-scale gold mining. And I did my undergrad at Duke University, where I majored in mechanical engineering. And so it's been exciting to work with the students, and I'm excited for you to see the work that they've done through their presentations.
Amal, would you also like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Amal Amin Al-Fadil. I am a current fourth-year student at MIT studying physics. It was very exciting to work on this project with everyone, and I'm really looking forward to your final presentations and the aftermath. So this is only the beginning, I feel. Really excited, so we'll see what happens.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. And then briefly, we're going to show you a snapshot of all of our students. You'll get to hear from them individually, but This is our very first cohort, the 2021 cohort in January. Like we said, it's been a great pleasure to work with them and to get to know them individually. They're very passionate and excited young leaders, and we personally as a teaching team are very proud of them and the work that they've put together in order to make these projects that they're going to be presenting to you today. And so, it's our great pleasure to share the class and their experience with you. And to the students, we also, we hope that this is just the beginning of your work in Sudan and around the world, aspiring to be global leaders. We look forward to following your journey and seeing all that you accomplish afterwards. All right, so with that, we're about ready to start for our very first group. Group number 1 will be presenting on children versus waste, is the title of their project. So we are going to take a brief recess for 2 minutes. We'll show you their project poster, and then we'll get started right at the top of the hour. All right, so we've reached the top of the hour. Now it's going to be Group 1's chance to present. Like we mentioned, their project is entitled Children versus Waste. And it's our great pleasure to present to you, Group 1.
Welcome, ladies and gents, for Group 1. We're talking about involving children in waste accumulation. These are our team members. Unfortunately, one of our members, Iraq, is missing due to connection issues and electricity problems in Sudan, and I'm Sarah Abdullah. Since the beginning of dawn, when certain ideologies receive power, they start thinking about giving their beliefs a hint of immortality. The most efficient path was teaching it to the youth. Eager and open-minded, two factors that make children the targeted group with their curiosity to learn about everything, their excitement to participate in new activities, and their open-mindedness to new sets of ideas. It's corny to say but true. Children have a fertile mind. It's easy to develop long-term habits and beliefs in childhood. Sometimes ditch them. Kids are naturally out-of-the-box thinkers. They're not abstracted but by what we believe to be a realistic approach to life. And that is one of the reasons their voices should be heard. As easy they are to be guided, it is possible to be guided by them. With all these factors and more, we choose kids as our targeted group. We're not planting any left or right-wing ideology. We choose to plant the love for earth and empathy towards all that's living in its surface. The love of environment is greater than any nationalism or patriotism. It's a more unifying ideology that goes beyond caring for only humans but for each creature, nothing excluded. Its effects reach all nations, lands, and concerns all. We want to teach kids that the whole earth is their land, and what harms it is their enemy. The war that deserves to be fought the most is the one against all that's harming this planet. We want them to know that the enemy is global warming and its army of all the polluting habits. We want them to understand its weapons, like extreme natural disasters, desertification, etc. We want to teach them how to fight this enemy, but first, they should learn about why they're protecting this planet and its importance to them. Then how to protect it, what are their weapons. We want to inspire children, unify them, and give them goals that keep them going.
So I think if you're speaking group 1, your audio is off.
Is it on now?
Yes. Could you start from the beginning of the
Sorry. My name is Tuhalway, and I'll be speaking about our main problem. The main problem that we'll be tackling today is the effect of waste in our community, and it's a very sensitive one. To begin and educate our society, we chose to educate its younger generation, as we believe in the quote that says, "Children are the living messages we send to a time we will not see." Our message is the first, second, and third SDGs: no poverty, zero hunger, and good health and well-being. We aim to reach these 3 SDGs by the year 2030. Disposing of waste has huge environmental impacts and can cause serious problems. Incinerating waste also causes problems because plastics tend to produce toxic substances such as dioxins when they are burned. Throwing away things wastes resources like raw materials and energy. Reducing waste means less environmental impact, less resources and energy used, and saves money. The main impact of the waste accumulation are: 1, the spoilage of landscape. The spoilage of landscape. Much of the world's solid waste is simply dumped onto vacant land and left to decompose. Both opened dumps and landfills may contain poisonous substances that seep into the groundwater or flow into streams and lakes. 2, pollution. Accumulation of waste is probably the most visible form of pollution. The main sources of waste are domestic, commercial, industrial, municipal, and agriculture waste. And agriculture and food processing industry are the largest contribution to the total amount of production of solid waste. The Undersecretary Abdelkader Turkawi of the Ministry of Agriculture in Sudan in 2019 stated that 5,690 tons of crops have been lost in all stages of the food chain. This amount of food is enough to feed almost 4 million people an entire year. Thirdly, the transmission of disease by waste on land. Vectors like flies, mosquitoes, rodents, and pet animals transmit these diseases. The waste is a breeding ground for such vectors. Sometimes the outbreaks of epidemics take place due to the accumulation of waste, particularly near water bodies. Fourthly, the transmission of disease by waste in water. Water without human interference is in its pure form. Industrialization and urbanizations are the 2 processes that pollute the water. Fifth, the effect of toxic particulate materials like lead, cadmium, nickel, and mercury. These substances cause cardiovascular diseases, lung cancer, kidney damage, brain damage, respiratory problems, and even cancer in the liver. Seventhly, and sixth and lastly, the effect of waste on the aquatic life. The waste accumulation can cause significant damage to aquatic life, both freshwater and marine. The 2 categories of waste that cause greatest damage to aquatic life are pesticides and industrial domestic waste. Toxins present in these wastes can kill aquatic organisms. There is a need to manage the waste properly. Therefore, public awareness of the health hazards of waste is necessary. No doubt, waste disposal has become a very big industry employing thousands of workers, but the options for disposal are limited. The main disposable sites are the land, water, or air. One of the easiest ways of management of waste is the 3R systems, which are reduction, reuse, and recycling.
Hi, it's Ahmed. I'm gonna talk about what's reduce and what is reuse. Reducing waste is the most important things we can do. By reducing waste, we avoid the unnecessary use of resources such as materials and energy and waters. It means there is less waste to manage. And what about reuse? Reuse is the submission that the used materials that flow through life can be resource rather than refuse, or exploit that resource in our trash. Why we reuse and reduce? Of course, for saving money from buying less thing, and reduce methane emission for landfills and lower your carbon footprint. Conserves energy and resource, prevent pollution involved in the growing, manufacture, transporting, and selling food. Support your community by providing donate untouched food that would have otherwise going to waste to those who might not have a steady food supply. Okay. How to reuse and reduce. One, avoiding single-use items. Try avoiding items like plastic, cutlery, straws, plates, cups, and single-use food. These are reusable or multi-purpose option. It will be better. Second, shop smartly and realistically. Most people tend to buy more than they need. The research has shown that habits lead to more waste. To avoid that, go to the jersey store every few days instead of going to buy instead of going monthly to buy your whatever you need, and be realistic what we really need to buy. Third, use smaller plates, cups, and bowls. If you use smaller plates, the same amount of food looks bigger. So you basically trick in your mind, trick in your brain into feeling fuller with this total food. Last thing, donation. One person trash is another person treasure. So instead of discarding unwanted appliances, tools, or clothes, try selling or donating them. Not only will you be reducing waste, you will be helping the other. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. So I'm going to tell you about the recycling. Recycling is the process of the collecting and processing materials that would otherwise be thrown away as trash and turning them into new products. There's three types of recycling. Primary recycling is the process of turning one thing into more of the same thing, like paper into more papers. Secondary recycling means turning something into other things made of the same material in the essential of the same form. Finally, tertiary or chemical recycling. It's required breaking materials down chemically to produce something very different. What is the benefit of the recycling? According to Environment Protection Agency, the average person generates over 4 pounds of trash every single day, about 1.5 tons of solid waste per year. So number one, help and protect the environment and save resources. It reduces need extracting raw materials. All of this creates substantial air and water pollution. Recycling also saves the energy. It also reduces greenhouse gas emissions, which help us to tackle climate change. Number two, reduce waste. Recycling naturally reducing waste by keeping more things out of landfills and reduce incineration. Number three, it's efficient. It can take less time and equipment than process. The quicker you can turn an unusable product into usable one, it's better. It helps create jobs. In a study in USA in 2016 between EPA and Recycling Economic Information find that in a single year recycling activities in the United States accounted for 681,000 jobs and 37.8 billion in waste. So what kind of waste do we recycle? Probably it's 4 types. Paper, plastic, metallic, and organic. I think most of us know it. So let's take a look on a number in Africa. 125 million tons of municipal solid waste was generated in Africa in 2012. It's expected to double by 2025. 19 of the world's 50 biggest dump sites are located in Africa, all in sub-Saharan Africa. Recycling in Africa driven more by poverty, unemployment, and socio-economic need. An estimated 70 to 80% of this waste generated in Africa is recyclable, yet only 4% is currently recycled by informal waste pickers. How to make kids learn about recycling? There's many ways to learn children recycling. So read the facts and watch the videos, go on recycling scavenger hunts and take a field trip, play games and make do-it-yourself toys, make recycling pin for the homes. We have here some bright spot. It's a column in the Guardian journal. It's Sudan gets creative with waste at Khartoum first recycling festivals. Finally, the African Union has set an ambition inspiration, which the African cities will recycle at least 50% of the waste, be it by 2023. So are you with us? Thank you.
Finally, our impact is teaching 24,000 students in 10 primary schools. With this number of aware students, this will ensure rapid spread of the 3R system, since the students' families will adopt it, hence affecting their surrounding community. Our next step is opening a non-profit center educating children all around the world about global warming and other SDGs by lectures, tutorials, and field trips. This is it, ladies and gents. We hope for a clearer and safer environment, and we sure so do you. So join us.
Thank you so much, Group 1. We really appreciated your presentation and your focus on recycling, especially for the younger generation, kids in schools, and the impact that you mentioned. So the goal of reaching 24,000 students in primary school is definitely a very wonderful goal and very admirable. Great job. All right, so because we're running a bit close to the time, we're going to go ahead and show you the poster for Group 2 and give them the chance to set up. Thank you, Group 1.
You're welcome.
Okay, and with that, we're about ready for Group 2 to start. Their project is entitled Improving the Teaching Methods for Secondary Schools. All right, go ahead, Group 2.
Hello, everyone. This is Group 2, and we're very excited to share our project with you. We'll start by introducing the team members, and I'll go first. I'm Munita Jasir, a third-year electrical and electronics engineering student at the University of Khartoum. I'm interested in poetry, women empowerment, machine learning, and artificial intelligence.
Hello, I am Juwairia, and I'm a high school senior.
Hi everyone, my name is Awab Rahmatullah. I'm a third-year mechanical engineering student, and I live in Jabal Ali Al Khartoum, which is a 15-minute walk from the South Pole. I'm very glad to be part of this family, and I've learned a lot, and hopefully I can pass it on.
Hello everyone, I'm Shad Mahmoud. I'm a fifth-year pharmacy student at Ahfad University for Women. I'm interested in reading and women empowerment.
So we chose SDG 4, which is quality education, because we believe that education is one of the key components to improve the society. Thus, improving the quality of education is essential for the growth of the whole society. This can be done in many ways, such as providing healthy and sustainable study environment, modifying the academic curricula, as well as training teachers on using more effective teaching methods. Of course, this is a very ambitious goal, and it requires a bit more than 2 weeks worth of efforts. So we decided to focus our efforts on one part of the problem, which is the teaching methods, and on one part of the educational ladder, which is the secondary level. I will leave you with Shah to tell you more about the problems that we outlined.
So the problems with the current teaching methods are, number one is passive and one-sided. The teachers recite the lessons without stopping to ensure that the students have fully grasped the information. Number two is that it does not induce creativity or interest, being that it is an exam-oriented teaching method. Students are not motivated to be creative. They depend on memorization often. Often teachers make the mistake of viewing the students' minds as an empty vessel in need of overfilling, whereas they should focus on igniting their creativity and nurturing their lust for learning. The third issue we will be addressing is violence against students. Schools don't provide a protective environment against violence, abuse, and neglect, whether it be physical or emotional. The teachers do not use the available technology. The teachers often don't try to keep up with the latest technology and rely on traditional teaching methods. Career advisors and counselors. Career advisors. Nowadays, students need career advisors because they are forced to enter colleges and universities with subjects they are not particularly interested in. Just because society has labeled careers more prestigious than others, the percentage of students dropping out or shifting careers is increasing because of the lack of information. Burst the bubble you put them in and let them speak. Let them discover who they are and stop the discrimination on careers according to gender in society. Thank you.
Thank you, Shahad. Given the past few points, our proposal for solution is a training program. The training program will discuss a lot of topics that are tailored to the most of the aforementioned problems. The training programs are highly scalable, cost-effective, realistic, and thanks to the business training industry, there is a plethora of experience and knowledge about them. Experience that we can learn from and tailor to our specific goals and circumstances. Training programs can be divided into two parts. There is the technical part, or the technical training, that features topics like research-based teaching methods, comprehensive student evaluation techniques, and computer skills, online management, online classroom management, and such. There is also a soft skills training, which will feature topics like communication, emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, counseling, and leadership. We will also let participants engage in role-playing and scenarios as an effective method to demonstrate their understanding of the material. We plan on having most of the program material available online on easy and popular platforms. Platforms like YouTube and Facebook. Another feature, for example, let's say I was a physics teacher, summary of a physics lesson, and keep the students engaged, let them deduce the lessons themselves, pause every now and then to let them ask the questions and so on and so forth. After that, the coach who have been monitoring me the whole time can outline the weak spots and mistakes that I've made. These feedback sessions would be as short as possible as not to waste any time and resources. The program will also have an automated reminder to review the material sent by email or WhatsApp, for example, an increasing time interval. This implements an evidence-based teaching technique or learning technique called spaced repetition. And hopefully this will decrease the number of participants who will fall back to their old habits. Our plan is to start a pilot program first, specifically in Bahri Model Secondary School for girls, and to test the effectiveness of the methods used and to address problems we face on a concentrated demographic, and then we can scale it up to a bigger use. Back to you, Muna.
So now we're going to talk about the impact and how we're going to measure the success of the pilot program. After applying the pilot program on Bahri Model Secondary School for Girls, about 50 teachers will be trained, and almost 1,170 students will get to experience these new teaching methods. And hopefully this will help awaken students' creative side, build a better relationship between teachers and students, as well as to encourage teachers to take actionable steps to improve and educate their community. Throughout the program, we will use questionnaires and the surveys before and after the program to take teachers, instructors, parents, and students' opinions on the program. And we will, throughout the school year, we will keep track of the students' academic performance, give them problems to solve, and make them work on different projects about various topics to make sure that they understood the outcomes of the program correctly. And we will also use the indicator 4.C.1 to measure how to measure the proportion of qualified teachers in a secondary level. Depending on the data we collect, we will find ways to further improve the training program, and with the scalability and feature and the availability of the online material, we believe that this program has the potential to make a positive change in schools and the community itself. I will leave you with Julia to tell you more about what would our team work on if we had more time and resources. Julia.
Thank you, Muna. Our first step after the pilot program is presenting a proposal to the Ministry of Education to have their support to the project. The materials of our training program will be updated every year to ensure that our teachers are up to date with the society and the world. We want to ensure that our program is applied to the largest amount of schools all over Sudan. If we were able to have enough resources, we will plan on evaluating our trainees by their performances and theoretical exams. To get a teaching license, each teacher must pass these exams done by the Ministry of Education. We will also work on building labs for chemistry, physics, and computer sciences to make the process more practical and fun. Adding also art studios to improve students' artistic and creative sides, along with PE classes to maintain the physical health of our students. Now we're happy to answer all your questions about our training program. Please do write them in the chat.
Thank you so much, Group 2, for a wonderful presentation. We really appreciated your focus on education and making it more interactive for students in high school at the secondary level. And also, your proposed next steps to bring it to the Ministry of Education and make it more impactful for a broad group of students. I have, I guess, just one quick question for you guys. So you mentioned that you would want to start at Bahri's secondary school for girls. Is there a reason for starting there, or how do you see the pilot program going?
Well, Mona chose the school, so I guess that she went there for high school. But we chose to go on one school specifically, so that in a controlled environment, where the most teachers know each other, they can push each other to abide to the techniques that they learn, or they can encourage each other to continue on the program. They can also enter a judgment-free zone where everyone on the school has gone into the same program. This encourages the continuous effort and the continuous improvement of their education and techniques.
Wonderful. Again, thank you so much, Group 2. So I guess you have the alumni of a school giving back to them and starting a pilot program in one area so that you can learn and make the program larger in the future. So wonderful. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll put up the poster for Group 3 and they'll get started in a couple of minutes. All right, so we're at the half-hour mark. So we are going to go ahead and give group 3 a chance to get started. As it shows on their poster, the title of this project is Agricultural Solar Water Pumps in Rural Northern Sudanese Regions. So we're very excited for group 3 to get started, and take it away.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings to our great audience, wonderful students, respectable teacher, and Zahra team. It's great to have you here all, and it's a pleasure for me. I'm Selma Heman, a 20 years old chemical engineering student at the University of Khartoum. Now I'll let my team member to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Rafa Abdullah, and I do the Sudanese certificate exam last year.
If you have your mic
Hello.
on, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Faris. I'm a first year electrical and electronic engineering student at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zeenat Amin. I'm 16 years old, and I'm officially a high school graduate. And yeah, still didn't start college yet.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rasha Hamo. I'm 17. I'm newly a high school graduate, and I'm excited to present today.
Okay, now I'm gonna introduce you to our main project, which is basically talking about agriculture, solar water pumps in rural areas, especially in the north region in Sudan. In developing countries, agriculture is the source of employment, especially in Africa. Sudan has a great potential, and the agriculture sector employs 80% of the work sector. The majority of Sudanese people live in rural area, about 65.06% of the total population. Taking advantage of the Sudan 3,814 hours of sunshine in the North region to help farmers collect the crops at any time, while reducing the usage of environmentally unfriendly diesel water pumps. Now, my team members, which is Sarah and Rahaf, will talk and explain more about the problem. Then Faris will tell you about the suitable solution and the design we found it. And after it, Rasha will speak about the great impacts of our solution in Sudan in general. In the end, Lina will show you the next steps in the future. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. I will talk about the problem. The traditional diesel water pump emits a huge amount of carbon dioxide, which increases Sudan's share of carbon dioxide emission. However, the main driving forecast that farms switch to full PV water pumping system for diesel water pump. First, higher diesel prices lead to higher prices for cultivated products. The second thing, pumps uh, contribute environmental risk on a smaller scale by polluting scalding water and plant. The third thing, production of dangerous fumes and noise.
I think someone might be muted. We can't hear you speaking.
So for this study, we chose the Musa Narti solar water pump, which has a local community in the northern of Sudan. The Musa Narti island adopted a 6 kilowatt photovoltaic system under a fund created by the UNDP to decrease the initial hefty price of the solar photovoltaic system, which is usually why farmers decline the use of the solar water pumps. The project targeted the SDGs number 2, 7, 8, and 13. Here's the picture of the solar water pump in the Musa Narti island. For the solution, a sample of 5 farmers from the northern state of Sudan will be chosen because the northern state of Sudan has one of the highest percentages of people living in rural areas, 80% of the total state population. And the people will be chosen and educated using the following steps. Firstly, we'll be showing them the lucrative cost over time of the solar water pumps in comparison to the diesel water pumps as a first step to build trust. Secondly, we will teach farmers about the solar PV funds that already exist in Sudan, such as the UNDP fund and the Northern State PV fund. Thirdly and lastly, we'll contact small local solar companies to offer 1 free maintenance coupon for every farmer that applies for such fund as a marketing strategy for smaller local companies. Here's a graph of the life cycle cost over the operating life of a solar PV water pump in red and the blue diesel water pump. This graph uses the Nambian dollar, because I couldn't find a graph that uses the SDG Sudanese pound. But Nambia suffers from a problem that's similar to Sudan, as it has fluctuating diesel prices. That's why they decided to change to the solar PV water system. PV water pump system. The second picture shows the solar irradiation levels in Sudan. The highest levels are seen to be to the north, to the areas near Dongola and Wadi Halfa. That's why a solar water pump system will be of great use there, as the water level is low, almost 50 meters in such areas, and the irradiation levels are at the highest levels in Sudan. Increasing the awareness of farmers to such data can help educate the farmers to environmental problems and can promote environmentally friendly behavior in the long run. For example, a lot of farmers were seen to adopt a trickle drip system combined with the PV solar water pump after they have adopted a solar water pump system.
Hey guys, so next I'm going to be speaking about the impacts. Starting off with the social impacts, such as it creates jobs locally by employing people to install solar panels, such as solar panels manufacturers and solar installers. Then we have the environmental impacts, such as it decreases carbon dioxide emissions locally, as well as contributing to the global goal of decreasing emissions by 45% between 2010 and 2030, which links it to the SDG number 13, climate change. And lastly, we have the economic impacts, which it eliminates cost of fuel for pumps, increases profit while reducing irrigation costs, help farmers overcome electricity and diesel supply constraints. In turn, it increases farmers' control over water supply.
Hello guys, and now I'm going to show you the next steps that we intend on taking. So here are the next steps. First step or project would be to start using solar power to drive pumps that pump river water as well as groundwater, for all the benefits that were mentioned by Rasha right now. And afterwards, we would like to start a project with the aim of providing drinking water using solar-powered well pumps but this project will mostly be in the poor rural parts of Sudan. The project will also focus on the sanitation of water. And the third and final step, and I know it seems quite ambitious, but it would be to expand the project to places in need all over the globe. Thank you.
Great job, Group 3. We really enjoyed your presentation and the focus on renewable energies and a very innovative solution with the solar water pumps. So thank you so much. You did a great job. Does anyone on the teaching team have a question?
Yes, I have a question. So I imagine there's a learning curve to transitioning from diesel pumps to solar pumps. As part of your solution, will you include a training program to use these pumps for the farmers who will be making the transition?
Yes, we do intend on organizing a training program.
I have a follow-up question. Is there any thought about the maintenance of the solar water pumps? Would you help the farmers maintain them in the first few years?
Yes, so the first year we're gonna focus on we're gonna do the maintenance. We're gonna do fund the maintenance of the pumps if anything were to happen. And the second year we would help them, we would teach them do the maintenance on their own. And so we wouldn't basically do it anymore.
Yeah, beside the companies which had chosen has proved their efficiency and they will provide maintenance.
All right, great. Wonderful presentation, guys. We really enjoyed that. And thank you so much for your hard work, Group 3. All right, so we're going to show you the project poster for Group 4, and then a couple of minutes and we'll get started. All right, everyone, so it is 15 minutes till, so it's about time to get started for Group 4. Group 4 is focused on transportation, and the title of their project is Using Solar Energy for Transportation Between Durman and Khartoum. So we're very excited to hear from Group 4, and we'll let them take the floor.
Okay. Hi, guys. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry. I'm just waiting for the slides. 1 second. Uh, 1 second. I'm sorry.
All right, hi everybody. We're group 4 and we're working on innovation and infrastructure, which is SDG number 9. Our goal was to create a way to travel using solar energy from Durman to Khartoum. So the official purpose of our project is ameliorating the transport sector in Sudan with sustainable energy, and our focus was on solar energy. Our idea is a little bit very hands-on and practical. So I'll first share the contents of our PowerPoint. So our introduction, we're gonna go through all of these intuitively so you guys can get a very good grasp of our idea and how we're gonna implement it. So first we're gonna start off with the introduction. We're gonna introduce our members and their backgrounds, and then we're gonna introduce the project idea and how we ultimately settled on solar energy for transport in Sudan. Then we're gonna discuss the problem. What is the problem we're addressing? What are its effects? How bad are the effects? And how long it's been prevalent? And then we're going to talk about why addressing this problem in particular resonated with us and made it so important to address. Then we're going to talk about the solution. So what are our plans for resolving the issues? How are we going to go about implementing the solutions? And what are the best fitting methods? Then we're going to talk about the impact and next step. So we're going to talk about what is impacted by our proposed solutions and then what are the next steps necessary for our proposal to be feasible. So first we're going to introduce our members. From left to right, it's Mohammed Osman, which is me. I'm a second year civil engineering student at the Ulsan National Institute of Science and Technology in Ulsan, South Korea. Then we have Ansam Umar, who's a third year computer science at Jamat al-Jazeera. Then we have Ahmed al-Mizbah, who is an economics student. We have Yaqeen al-Radi, who recently graduated high school. And we have Reem Jamal, who's a business administration student at UMST. Before I move on, I just want to say that from this slide, you can see that we are coming from very diverse academic backgrounds, and doing this kind of helped shape our perspective very much, and it gave us different views on things, and it helped us really collaborate very well. Because of the different academic backgrounds, we were able to address certain problems, and certain people had certain skill sets that helped them address those problems. So I feel like that's very important to share. So we're going to introduce the project. So as many of you may know, the urban transport infrastructure in Sudan is very lacking. In this project, we aim to use modern sustainable sources of energy, such as solar energy, to not only ameliorate the conditions, but also serve as a foothold into the future of modern transport in Sudan. I feel like as a university student in Sudan, as a blue collar worker in Sudan, as a citizen of the country, you have definitely felt the problems that have become increasingly prevalent with the transport sector, especially in Khartoum. Of course, many other cities have felt the impact as well, but the lack of gas, the lack of actual vehicles on the road, the congestion, it's a problem that we all face, and addressing it head on, while also leveraging it into a sustainable energy future for Sudan was a very big point that we wanted to get across. So the problem is, well, the problem stems all the way back in 2011 when South Sudan seceded from North Sudan, and due to socioeconomics and political factors, it had led to like a severe shortage of oil resources in Sudan, and so this negatively affected not only society but the economy as well, especially the transport sector. It took a big hit, and then it has been on like a downward slope of exponential decline for a very long time. So buses and other large transport vehicles are rapidly disappearing from the city, and people are finding it increasingly more difficult to commute or travel within the city. This is because not only has everything become extremely expensive due to inflation, but the gas shortages and the diesel fuel shortages or fossil fuel shortages in general have made it very hard for people to make a living working in the transport sector, and therefore people can't use the transport sector. And some statistics to help you kind of grasp the idea and understand how big of a problem this is. In the past 2 years alone, there have been 41,000 buses that were shut down in Khartoum alone. In a city that, comparatively speaking to the rest of the world, is not that big, 41,000 vehicles have stopped operating because of many reasons, like I said, fuel shortages or inflation. And then not only that, the few vehicles that are on the road have to start charging more to cover their expenses. There's been a 150% passenger tariff increase in the past 2 years alone. And the average waiting time at a bus stop or a bus station or a transport hub in Khartoum is about 3.5 hours. So imagine having to wait 3.5 hours to get to where you're going. So if you're a blue collar worker who works a 9 to 5, if you're waiting 3.5 hours, you're getting fired. You're not going to make it. As a university student, you're missing lectures. As an elementary or middle school student, you're not getting there on time. And it's a very big problem that we have to address. So the community itself is fully aware of the severity of this crisis. And so it kind of has attempted to help itself with a number of solutions, but they were often temporary. There was this very big citizens initiative called Sikatna Wahda, which was like a social media Facebook group where people would say, hey, I'm going from point A to point B. Is there anybody traveling in that direction so we can carpool? And so people kind of really came together and tried to help each other out, but it still wasn't enough because you really need, in a big city like Khartoum, you really need an actual transport sector. The government has also tried to address the problems. There have been the state fiscal and monetary policies like raising subsidies or fixing tariffs or like importing more fuels, but it just hasn't been enough. And so we have to come up with a solution, or we thought we should come up with a solution that's going to help all of us. So Ibrahim Al-Muzwah is going to introduce our solutions or our proposed idea, and he should take it away from here. Ibrahim?
Hello, everyone. Hey. So in order to face these problems, we try to present a new solution, an innovative solution that solve this crisis in the long term. Because all the previous solutions that were presented dealt with the problem in the same way that lead to the problem. And we want to get out of this cycle. So we create the solution, which is consists of two parts. The first part of our plan is to support the deployment of one electric bus that run from Khartoum to Omdurman and back. And we think that will help will help by moving the citizens to and from the stations with less ticket cost, because it's one go. And we think that will reduce citizens waiting hours for buses, because with that they are just gonna wait at one stop. And look at this figure here. It's an electric bus, and this is the bus route from Omdurman to Khartoum via Street. Okay. The second part of our plan is to create a university design competition to design and build a solar port rickshaw. These rickshaws or this rickshaw will be used to complete the last mile logistics at busy transport hubs in the capital. So this will help the economy by position more time, and will help the environment by reducing the harmful gases. This is the rickshaws, an instance of electric rickshaw. Last, we should mention that we limited the solution to Khartoum state only as an initial idea, but we will try to expand it in the future. And thank you.
All right, thank you, Ibrahim. Next, for our proposed impacts or quantifying the impacts, we have Ansam, who's going to take over. Ansam, if you will.
Hello, everyone. So in this project, we targeted two SDGs, which is 7 and 9. In 7, the proportion of population with primary reliance on clean fuels and technology, and second is CO2's emission per unit of value added. The impact serves to allow a large percentage of population to use their sustainable and renewable energy sources. The carbon emitted for electricity generation when using solar energy is minuscule when compared to carbon emission when using fossil-fueled vehicles. The project will aim to kill two birds with one stone, leveraging the need for rejuvenation in the transport sector to place a foothold for the use of sustainable energy in our community.
Great, thank you. And next we'll have Reem, who's going to talk about the next steps for our project and how we can move along. Reem, take it away.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Reem. So I'm gonna talk about the next steps and our goals and aims. So what we're going to do is we're gonna reach out to financial partners to move forward with financing the project. These partners include like development bank foundations. They could be single investors or anyone interested in this business in general. We're conducting a feasibility study to help us pitch our idea. Approaching foundations such as the African Development Bank Foundation, as I mentioned earlier, to fund these panels. There's a bunch of foundations that are trying, like for example, there's the Ministry of Youth and Sports in Sudan.
Well, it seems Reem is having some connection issues, so I'll continue from here. So after approaching these panels and finding financiers, we're going to also work with the general public. That way, that we can employ people.
Really, I'm really sorry, guys.
She's back. All right, you can take it away. Just continue where you left off.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Reem, you're muted. Reem, I think you're muted.
Okay, sorry, my bad. As I was saying, yes, my bad. Sorry. There's the Ministry of Youth and Sports in Sudan that are trying to fund like a bunch of youth products and projects in general because we have a lack of that in Sudan. We're working with people from the general public. That way, it'll help both sides by decreasing the unemployment and gaining manpower for the project. We have the unemployment rate in Sudan is ridiculously high, and if we get people from within the general public, people who weren't able to get an education, because anyone can drive a rickshaw or like a bus if they get trained, it will sort of like help us decrease the rate of unemployment, as well as like indirectly or directly relate to the malnutrition in the country, the literacy rate in the country, and the overall improvement of the economy. Working with the government legislators to make this project a priority, working with the Ministry of Transport to ease the process and make the transitions smoother. Yes, that's all. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, thank you for your time. So if you have any questions and inquiries, we will be happy to answer them. So please shoot away.
And thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Group 4. That's a really cool idea. Very excited. I'm sure a lot of people on the call, myself included, would love to see this actually happen in Khartoum and Durman. Sheikhs and Abdullah, do you guys have any follow-up questions?
This, first of all, such an amazing project. I really got excited, especially when you were describing the size of the problem. Showed me that like a real solution is needed. And so have you guys looked at other, like what other models did you look at in different countries that have been implemented to kind of like solve a similar problem?
Oh, that's a great question, because when approaching this idea in the first place, and even coming up with the idea to even go into the transport sector, we had like a very hot debate about what would be the best solution. So before settling on the solar energy buses, we tried, and like most other sustainable energy resources you can think of, we were thinking about hydrogen cell power. We talked to Abdullah about renewable gas. We were thinking about making a ferry, a hydroelectric ferry, to bypass the roads and just use the Nile as a gateway to go through. But ultimately, we settled on the solar power because we looked at some other models. So for example, I'm in South Korea right now, and I'm in a city called Ulsan, and the city is basically the industrial powerhouse of the country. So you have, you know, these big manufacturers like Hyundai and Samsung who have these huge factories here. And Hyundai itself has tried implementing a tram using hydrogen cell power, and it wasn't feasible. And they tried using renewable gas sources, and it wasn't feasible. And they tried using all sorts of things before they ultimately settled down on solar power. And Korea is a much more industrialized and modern country. And so seeing their trial and error and seeing how they couldn't do it, even though they had the infrastructure for it, made us realize that when they ultimately settled on solar power for buses, it must have had a good reason. And so we tried to kind of take inspiration from that.
Yeah, wonderful. I think it's great to study other countries and see what's been successful elsewhere. So thank you guys so much for this project and your presentation. We really enjoyed it. All right, so we're running a couple minutes over. I'm just going to show you Group 5's presentation briefly, but we'll try and get started fairly quickly. All right, so if Group 5 is ready, we're going to go ahead and get started with them. Their project is focused on the medical field and improving healthcare services. So Group 5, if you're ready.
Yes, we're ready. I'm going to just share my screen. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So our topic is improving healthcare and services in Sudan. To provide better healthcare and better healthcare services for people in Sudan. Before starting off with our topic, we're going to introduce our team members. So I'm Ahmed Hisham, third year. Actually, I don't know. I'm a fourth year dental student. My results are still aren't out. Fourth year dental student at the University of Khartoum. I study dentistry and I'm interested in public health and climate change. Ghania, you can go.
Hello everyone, and I'm a 19 years old student at University of Khartoum. I study German and English language, and I'm interested in international relations and peace studies, specifically conflict resolution. So yeah, Raha?
So, hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Rahab Bushra Abdurrahim. I'm a third year medical student at University of Jazeera. I'm interested in public health and women empowerment, and it was very nice to meet you all during this program.
So unfortunately, we is Lena here because we're lacking team members. So if she's here, please proceed by speaking. Okay, so I'll start off.
I checked the participants list and she's not here.
She's not? Okay. So I'll start off with the topic generally. We're targeting the third SDG, which is good health and well-being. Good health and well-being is a crucial SDG. It's interconnected with other social and economic inequalities. For example, people with low income here in our country can't access good healthcare and go to good hospitals. And it's also kind of, or actually very connected to climate change, because whenever there is climate change, it will become, the environment will become favorable for other vectors and other diseases to emerge. So I'll start off with some facts about healthcare in general. So every 2 seconds, someone aged 30 to 70 years dies prematurely from non-communicable diseases. Non-communicable diseases such as cardiovascular diseases and chronic respiratory diseases, diabetes, or cancer, which are things that can be discovered early if there was a proper healthcare system for people to actually realize that things or diseases like this are present. There's a 31-year gap between the countries with the shortest and longest life expectancies. So usually developing countries have low life expectancies because of the lack of health care they find. And developed countries such as, for example, the United States, they have long life expectancies because of the good healthcare they find. So there's a 31-year gap between those. At least 40 million people have no basic health care and 40% lack social protection. 400 million is a big number. So introduction about our country. The Republic of Sudan, located in northeastern Africa and considered to be a low-income country. The country has a weak established healthcare system with many drawbacks, mainly due to economical and managerial reasons, followed by prolonged political instability and sanctions. Sudan has a high incidence of fatal diseases, the persistence of which reflects difficult ecological conditions, high level of malnutrition and inadequate healthcare system, conflict, and violence. The healthcare system in Sudan needs a full package of strategic plans and policies, be in it a long-term or short-term, to rescue the deteriorating healthcare system. The problem,
So, hi everyone. I'm going to talk about the problem. As in many African countries, the main challenges in healthcare in Sudan are in rural areas and outskirts of cities. Their conflict, lack of transport, and uneven distribution of resources reduce the availability of healthcare workers. An estimated 70% of the total healthcare providers are in Khartoum, serving only 20% of the population. Healthcare in Sudan have facing mainly 4 barriers. First, availability barrier, geographic barrier, financial and acceptability barrier. Availability, because as we said earlier, 70% of the healthcare providers based on Khartoum, so they are not available for those who need them help in their help in rural and outskirts of the cities. Geographic, we also find the distance and travel time for those people in rural and outskirt area to reach out the hospitals in the big cities. Also, we have financial barrier and the relationship between the price of services and the wellness and availability to pay for those services, as well as protection from the economic consequences of healthcare costs. Acceptability, much between how responsive healthcare services providers are to the social and cultural expectation of individuals, users, and communities. Improvements in health indicators are difficult. Sorry, Ahmed, previous slide. Improvements in healthcare indicators are difficult to measure since they vary by region. The scattered population has recently suffered several outbreaks of cholera, dengue fever, RVF, chikungunya, and malaria. None have been met with the required efforts. Next slide. Next slide. Post-colonial Sudan had free access to healthcare until 1990s. Despite reducing support for the healthcare, the Sudanese government also invested in higher medical education around the same time. It opened 30 new medical schools and made Sudan the country with the highest number of the medical schools in Africa. Yet 30% of the medical graduate and junior doctors leave the country seeking for better life, seeking for better life conditions. It ensured the steady increase of healthcare professionals for the growing population of 42 million. Consequently, the physicians to patient ratio improved from 0.1 per 1,000 people in 1996 to 0.41 per 1,000 people in 2015. Not ignore that 70% of the physicians based in the capital city. Mania?
All right, guys. So we came to the conclusion that people in rural areas, just people who live in villages scattered in rural areas, are too far and they cannot reach hospital. Hospitals are unreachable for them. A way to help in that is by bringing healthcare to rural areas by establishing a community healthcare system, which have there are too many healthcare community-based healthcare system. Next slide, Ahmed. It has too many aspects. So we have this first step on the solution is by investing in education. That happens by providing vocational training for 15 to 30 community members in every village. That depends on the population of the village or the rural area, the state or whatever. Providing them by training to become a healthcare providers, to advocate, to raise awareness among their people about communicable disease, non-communicable disease, child and maternal health, and different healthcare issues. These workers also provide data that is used at the national level to identify emergent problems, as well as in each area a healthcare center shall be structured for those healthcare providers to work with the patient and provide services. For those who didn't get the idea of a community-based healthcare, it is that it's for all people of all ages who need healthcare assistance at home, at the village, and the community care services include home support, nursing, physiotherapy. An example for that is a nurse visits an elderly person to help with medication. Yeah, so that's it. Next slide. The second step, which is to increase health benefits for the poor. So we're basically targeting the poor who cannot afford these medications or medicines or vaccinations. So by investing or increasing health benefits for the poor in developing areas, the poor are subjected to higher risk of contracting disease and lower access to quality health care. Through the creation of targeted systems that strategies identify who is poor and eligible for lower cost health care. It's sort of health insurance. Another attribute of this system is directing programs directly towards lesser developed areas. This targeting system has the potential to eliminate poverty at less of development programs that do not discriminate between poor and rich. There is another solution. A way some Sudanese states have addressed this problem has been through the use of telemedicine. I have to mention this point. Telemedicine, which is electronic medical services. The uh, uh, telemedicine had the potential to break down geographical barriers, electronic health, electronic medical system, and in these 2 years, 168,000 individuals has benefit from this program. But telemedicine still have a lot of facing a lot of barriers to become a national service. The impact of the impact of our project, or our goal to provide healthcare services is educating people enables them to obtain safer jobs. It increase health literacy, take preventive healthcare measures, avoid riskier health behaviors, and demand better quality health services. This is especially true for women living in developing countries, from girls entering puberty to pregnant mothers. Most deaths that occur in developing countries are neonatal or during the first 5 years of life. Adequate family planning and antenatal services can break the cycle of poverty and even empower women. There are a lot of dimensions for this project. I know that it's okay. So pass to you.
So for our next steps, we would, as we said earlier, 30% of medical graduates and junior doctors leave the country. So we would suggest a policy proposal to ensure all medical graduates would work all over the country around all the states, making sure that not all doctors are stationed in the capital city, Khartoum. We would also suggest a plan to make sure that Sudan is receiving an equal international aid compared with 50% of healthcare expenditure in Rwanda. Only 5.4% of Sudan's healthcare expenditure comes from external aid.
To wrap things up, during this corona pandemic, it showed us really how fragile our healthcare systems are, especially in the developing countries, where it showed us that a lot of healthcare systems collapsed, and they are now depending on foreign aids from international organizations. And this shows us really the importance of working towards universal healthcare coverage for everyone in the world. So we're done.
All right, thank you so much, Group 5. We really appreciate your great work and on such an important field. So the medical field and people's health, which, as you mentioned, is especially important during the pandemic. I appreciated the focus on non-communicative diseases, as well as diseases that can be transmitted easily. The focus on rural areas and identifying a lot of the key problems. For example, neonatal health. I think you guys did a good job of identifying the root of a lot of problems. And then, suggesting that doctors work in different areas in Sudan, as well as providing vocational training. So due to time, we won't get to ask you follow-up questions, but thank you so much for your work, Group 5. We really appreciated your presentation. I'm going to show you the poster for Group 6, and then we're going to get started in just a minute. All right, so we are about ready to go ahead and start with group 6. So group 6 is going to be presenting on a flood alert system. So a national flood alert system in Sudan, and I will let you tell them more about it. I'm going to share their presentation for them and then let them take the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Am I heard?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So the title of our project is Floods Early Warning, and it comes as a response to Sudan 2020 floods, which have induced catastrophic incidents. The outlines of our presentation, our introduction should be presented by me, problem statement by Ola, solution by May, and impact by Asala. The next step was supposed to be presented by Nazir, but due to his father's illness, he had to be beside him. So from this stage, we wish that his father get recovered in a very short span of time. Okay. So generally, floods are an overflow of waters that submerge land areas that are usually dry, and the primary and the main causes of floods are human changes to environment, which often increases the intensity and frequency for flooding. Those causalities include deforestation and removal of water lands, changes in waterways course, such as with leaves. Also, floods are induced by larger environmental issues like climate change and sea level rise. And for floods are considered second only to wildfires as the most common natural disaster on Earth. Solutions for floods, even if it reduces the impacts by a slight degree, are crucial and necessary. For the Sudan case, the flood that has happened on 2020 is considered a 1 in 100 years flood, and it means the possibility, it means at least one flood should take place in 100 years, and people perceive this notion the wrong way. They think that there were floods last year, so in the future, or at least in the coming 99 years, there aren't going to be any problems or any floods. The core of our project is we want to give people information so that they know about floodings, and they can take their precautions. And this code represents the core of our project. You could have saved him if you would have known in time. And so my colleagues are going to walk you through the problem statement, solution, the impact of solution, and our next step. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Ala, and I'll be walking you through our problem statement. It's not a secret that the lack of flood relief across the state of Sudan is really, really dire and needs immediate attention. And the reason that it's so dire and it's so dangerous to everyone here is because there is extremely low funding towards our emergencies, and most times we only get around 15 to 22% of our required funding, which doesn't allow us to make any advancements technologically or even using our safety measures. So only approximately 200,000 people in Sudan are aware of the possibility of floods, but they don't know their time, their severity, how to prepare for them, how how to go away, how to find alternative accommodation. And so due to the lack of awareness, our communities are not able to prepare for the incoming floods, which obviously can cause severe consequences such as death or compromisation of their health or destruction of their homes and roads and schools. It just is really bad. It has a really bad effect on our infrastructure as a country and our healthcare, and it's just really bad for our welfare as people, and it should be stopped immediately. So the graph on your left, my left, shows that it just shows a comparison between all the continents and how they have early flood warning systems. And as you can see, Africa, being the red line, has the least awareness and has the least availability of systems that can help them relieve any consequences of flooding or be prepared or just generally be aware and have knowledge of what's to come. And on the right, it's a map and it shows the places most hit. And so there's red, orange, and green. Green is, safe zone kind of. And then orange is doing even red, but not so great either. Red is where it really, really hits. And there's just lack of awareness and knowledge of how to prepare. My colleague May is gonna walk you through the solutions. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
So, hi, my name is May and I'm going to tell you about our project solution. So our solution is early flood warning system, which is a rapid disaster preparedness and response procedure using a model that integrates risk knowledge components, monitoring and forecasting, uh, disseminations of information and response to warnings. So that lead us to the task of our system, which are translating the forecasts into meaning that understandable by every social segment. That's why we have different ways of communication tools. We have social media, which targets most people who live in cities and generally who have internet access. Of course, we have radio, TV, newspapers, also SMS. And SMS has to be in a simple language because it's sent to everyone, so they all can understand it. We also have street signs. And finally, and the most effective tool is the neighborhood or the village mosques. Because why is it the most effective tool? Because people can meet and manage their emergency plan for people's lives, property, crops, and animals. The designer of effective message should mention information about the upcoming flood, whether it's because of the river or the heavy rains. Also with guidance on what people should do, like checking on all the sewers and setting barricades, and the safety instructions in case the flood happened. Early warning system takes legal responsibility for warnings and their dissemination, and knows how best and when to communicate warnings. That's because timing is the most important component of the system. Addressing uncertainties surrounding floods warning by making a reliable reference and a telephone hotline. and also the most importantly, raise flood risk awareness by sharing all damages might occur. Uh, so yeah, this is an example of the science that shows us how bad the flood is going to be. Next slide, please. Yeah, and this graph explain to us shows us the importance of early warning. Here it says 6 hours warning lead time reduce 14% of damages. So I'll leave you with Asala to tell you about the impact. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Asala. Am I heard?
Does it sound a little bit far away?
How about now?
That's a little better.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Asala. After my group mate showed you the solution, I'm going to show you the impact of our solution, because definitely a solution without an impact is useless. So our impact is divided into 2 points. The first one is environmental benefits, which gives timely notice for gated dam water release, reducing damage to surrounding communities and ecosystems. That means the earlier you release gated dam water, the lower risk or damage you get when the floods are happening. The second point is socio-economic benefits, which means the social and economic benefits. Strengthen overall flood management, including preparedness, response, and recovery. That was number one, which means that the early we know about the floods, the early we prepare for it, the better we response to it, the better we recover its damage. Number two is minimizes human facilities, injuries, and health risk, as well as infrastructure damage resulting from the floods. That means that this is probably our main goal is to save human lives. Number three is to reduce costs related to post-flood rehabilitation and rebuilding, which means less money needed for the recovery, either from the government or the voluntary organizations or even the owners themselves. Number four, that improves network connectivity within and between the local communities. So now I'm about to mention the opportunities provided by the project. The first one is that it provides climate change adaptation and releaseness benefits, because when we know about the climate change earlier, it helps us to figure out how to deal with it. Number two is technological advances have allowed citizens to receive data directly from the warning system to their smartphones, improving dissemination speed and reach. So obviously we can guarantee that a big number of people have reached the informations. Number three, it is implemented at local and regional scales and can reach all societal groups, including those that are especially vulnerable. Number four, improving disaster preparedness through the system can significantly reduce expensive relief. So now I'll leave you with Nasir telling you about the next step of our project.
Okay, so a recap on our solution. Our solution mainly comprises of many aspects. Number one, the government, and mainly hydrology and meteorology departments, which they're supposed to be technicians who have the expertise on working on the devices that measure the weather status or the climate status, and report to the government. The government work in synchronization with volunteers whom are trained, very well trained, like in first aid and how to implement effective evacuation strategies and stuff, and also community actors. And so a synchronization between those bodies are crucial for the effectiveness of the implementation of this project. So our next step is to try to work on the technological maturity, because lots of the suggested solutions devices, like for example, sending SMS messages, are dependent upon areas having access to network. And so working on the technological maturity of our solutions devices are important. Also to reduce warnings degree of uncertainty, because in our project also the confidence that the local people have about the certainty of the warnings is crucial. We want them to take those warnings seriously, and so any decisions casted should have a high level of uncertainty. Also, work on making good quality and real-time data available. And lastly but not least, develop means to combat casted mainstream misinformation about floods. And this is what happened in 2020 floods. Attention seekers, seek attention by casting false news, and people do not know what to believe and what to take seriously. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Group 6. This is an incredible project and very impactful. I think we all saw the effects of the floods in the past year, and you guys have put together a very wonderful solution using a lot of different kinds of technologies. I think the use also of the neighborhood mosque is very innovative, both as a meeting place and somewhere where you can physically broadcast a voice that everyone in the community will hear. And I think the graph also about the lead time, the difference that's only 6 hours of lead time makes when people are informed about a flood coming. I think that was a very impactful graph as well. Sheikhs and Abdullah, do you guys have any questions?
No questions from me. Great presentation.
All right, thank you so much, Group 6. We really appreciate your time. And you guys did a wonderful presentation. So we're going to try and get a little bit on track with the schedule. I'll show you briefly the poster for Group 7, and then we'll get started. All right, so with this, Group 7 is about ready to go. The title of their project is Maintaining the River Nile. So they're going to talk about mitigating pollution in the Nile River. So Group 7, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Mind if I can my screen?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Amar, would you like to take it from here?
Yes, am I heard loud and clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are Group 7. Group project is Maintaining the Nile. And first, may everyone in my group briefly introduce themselves. So I'll start with myself. My name is Ammar Said Ali, 17 years old. And yeah, a current high school student, potential university student as well. So yeah, may the rest of the group introduce themselves briefly.
Right. My name is Steven. I'm 17 years old. I recently graduated from Unity High School. I'm at the moment a high school graduate, and I'm really interested in entering the engineering field, hopefully. Yeah.
Hello everyone, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Badi Osman. I am 17 years old and I'm a first year electrical and electronics engineering student at University of Khartoum.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone. I'm Iba Samadin, a student at Umdurman Islamic University, Faculty of Pharmacy.
Hello everyone, my name is Isra Abdussalam. I'm one of Ahfad University student, also Ahfad student ambassadors. Yeah, that's all.
Hi everyone, I'm Shahid Basim. I'm 19 years old, studying electrical engineering at
Okay, so basically, our now, the Nile, a lot of us might not understand like how large it is, or just put it into perspective. So simply put it into perspective for you guys, is the longest river in the world, shared by 11 countries, them being Ethiopia, Egypt, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Eritrea, Kenya, and most importantly, Sudan and South Sudan. And it roughly covers about 10% of its surface area roughly covers about 10% of the African continent. It is relied upon by over 300 million people for means such as food, irrigation, domestic water supply, hydroelectric power production, tourism, transportation, and fishing. So you guys just could imagine how big of an asset the Nile is to Africa, to the African continent. However, the Nile is facing very serious problems. It is becoming a source of death and disease. Pollution is turning the Nile, which provides Sudan with almost all its water needs, into a scourge. So, so we simply cannot afford ultimately Africa's biggest asset into. We simply cannot allow its deterioration. So, Israniba, if you guys would like to take it from here on the raising awareness issue.
Okay, one of the biggest problem is a lack of awareness. So there is a lack of awareness and knowledge among the people, including certain manufacturers who have blatant discharge in managing waste. Many people do not know about water pollution. They do not know the amount of damage they make. People threw garbage in place near the river, even farmers using excessive of fertilizers. And all of this affect the water we use in every detail in our lives and even to the aquatic animals. Also, as we have many diseases are still spreading in our country in Sudan, and we do not know their exact source, simply it could be the water, the dirty and polluted water. And due to this, there is a lot of cases and also deaths caused by diarrhea, malaria, and many other diseases, as we will see in the presentation. And Isra will continue how we can raise awareness.
Sorry, hold on.
Hello everyone. Okay, so basically I'm going to talk about raising awareness. For me, raising awareness is the key, like for solving our problems, like all the problems. We first, we have to, we want as many as people, as many as possible people to know about a specific problem and understand it, and also to take action about it, either by changing their behavior and or like advocating for change in structures, service law and practices. Also, like people here in Sudan still don't unaware about the how harmful and how about unaware about the potential and harms and danger they are making for the river Nile. So we set a ways to raise awareness about it. first thing, we're gonna raise awareness in the schools and education institutions, make activities for students, and also we're starting from the cause piece, people for us, the families, and also we have to raise awareness among the farmers because of if the use of excessive fertilizers can cause the water pollution. Also, we have to, like, we are the youth, we use the social media and TV, radio to talk about like what's going on. We also we also still unaware about what the water diseases and unclear water can do for us. So we have to raise awareness for the family and also teach them how to clean their water in their house by simple methods like boiling the water or keeping it in the clay thing that we have it in Sudan here, the traditional thing which we call it al-zir. It's really good for distill the water and also put the water under sun rays. Like, this is a simple method to make sure that your water is really clean. And also we can let the big companies like to contribute in raising awareness through like the companies that are responsible for giving us water and beverage. They can put like stickers in their bottles talking about like information and facts about water and stuff like that, so people can stop like throwing garbage and stuff like that is in the water. And the second thing, we should raise awareness about the harm of plastics and use alternative, just like paper bags like the one I have here, or cloth bags, or even bones folds that is a Sudanese traditional thing. The last thing is raise awareness about the youth, and we all contribute to do Nile cleanups from time to time, especially in places near to the restaurant in the Nile Street, the coffee shops, because people like throw their garbage like it's nothing. And my last thing is, I just want to say for all the youth, like no one actor can solve the problem, and no one should ever point someone else to we should never point someone else to solve our problems, because we are all responsible and no one can do something, but we are all together, we can do something. And now we are going to Stephen and Ammar to talk about other problems we have. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Right. Now, second problem we have is that during this past decade, we've realized an increase in waste discharge, and it was noticeable through reports and data measurements taken by scientists and researchers themselves that the amount of pollutants released into the water sources have reached a staggering figure. The main three waste products we're going to be talking about at the moment are plastic materials, agricultural chemicals such as fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, and whatnot. Then we've got untreated sewage water or industrial wastewater. As you can see on the chart on your left, the main two major waste discharges are industrial waste and sewage and agricultural waste, sewage and agricultural waste products. And then we've got the plastic materials. And it is, as you can see, it has changed and has affected the Nile's chemical compound. And as you all know, agricultural chemicals, okay, can cause something called eutrophication, and which is known as when chemicals such as fertilizers enter or run off into the river, they get eaten or are they're used as nutritionist food for bacteria, which start to feed on, and they start to deplete the oxygen inside the water, making it uninhabitable regions due to the low amount of oxygen in the water. And yeah, that's what mainly what eutrophication is. I'd like to pass the solution on to Ammar. Ammar, you want to
So
take it from here?
seeing as waste discharge is the most prevalent factor of the current pollution of the Nile, we came across this very exciting concept or structure known as bioswales. So they're basically inexpensive. They cost $5 per square foot. Organic green structures used to naturally regulate, filtrate, and flush potential dirt and pollutants infiltrating bodies of water. And these bioswales, they're quite versatile and can be integrated to almost any geographical surrounding, whether that being close to the Nile, in more rural areas, more farming landscape, or even in urban areas. So they're very versatile, but it is recommended, and it is in fact our best interest that they are composed of rocks and vegetation native to its surrounding to ensure its compatibility. So I'm sure that that's a huge advantage for us, for specifically the Sudan case, seeing as domestic and native plants and rocks can be used. So bioswales are basically composed of a top layer that is closely packed vegetation and rocks spread over a quite large surface area, a layer of sand just beneath that acts as an absorbent to the water, and a layer of gravel just below with large spacing to allow drainage for the filtered water. So the bioswales are to be constructed in areas where the risk of polluted runoff water infiltrating the Nile is high. That would be the top priority of this project, where high risk areas. But for the future, they could be implemented. They're quite aesthetically pleasing as well, if I could say so myself. So there'd be a great fit everywhere, especially since they're so versatile. They could be implemented almost everywhere. So this bioswale solution is quite inexpensive, yet simple, yet very efficient. So I personally believe that with the implementation of this bioswale concept, that polluted runoff water infiltrating the Nile will be severely reduced. So yeah, Badi, if you want to take it from here.
Thank you, Ammar. So one of the issues that we're also facing in Sudan is lack of legislations and laws. And sometimes there are existing laws, but the problem is that these laws aren't implemented or enforced. So we decided to come up with a few laws, creation and implementation of these laws. The first one is discharging without a license or in amounts or concentrations that exceed license limits is punishable by fine or prison sentence. Usually these licenses are issued to factories, sanitary sewage treatment plants, riverboats, as long as their affluents meet certain standards and other conditions. And then the second law is withdrawing license if there's failure to reduce a discharge, presenting an immediate danger of pollution, or failure to install treatment yielding appropriate affluent quality within 3 months. So the government in the past formulated a number of legislative measures, policies, strategies concerning water resources in general, and safe drinking water and sanitation in particular. In 1975, the Ministry of Health Act prevented the drainage of disposal of harmful substances. In 1991, according to Article 70, there is a law that mentions people who pollute any source of water shall be punished with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 months. But usually the effectiveness of these pollution laws depend on meaningful enforcement. And the government agencies bear the primary responsibility to implement these laws and ensure the compliance with pollution limits. However, sometimes these agencies fail to carry out these enforcement duties for reasons such as a lack of fund. Sometimes they're understaffed or underfunded. Sometimes politically powerful polluters capture the very agencies that are supposed to police them. This is known as regulatory capture. It's basically sometimes the agencies instead act in ways that benefit the industry it is supposed to be regulating. Um, so I feel like if these laws remain unenforced, it will add to the detriment of Sudan's environment. And unless polluters are brought to justice, the river pollution is sadly here to stay. So we feel like punishing polluters is, an important step towards cleaner corporations and towards a cleaner Nile. And I just wanted to say, just like Iba and Isra mentioned, we believe that it's very important that we raise awareness on the issue of the Nile pollution first and foremost, and like educate people on the seriousness of this issue so that we can be able to tackle its consequences. Shahad, if you can hear me, you can take it away from here.
Can you hear me?
Shahad, could you get closer to the microphone?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So the impact of our solution is that as the awareness of people is increasing about the danger of polluting Nile, the level of vigilance to get clean water will incredibly increase, and the tension will be bad before doing anything with Nile. Stricter penalties will create an incentive for polluters to become a bit more vigilant when it comes to discharging their effluents. Designing piles wall will severely lower the amount of polluted runoff infiltrating the Nile. One step uh, we could take to ensure the success of our solution is collecting samples from the river to check the water quality by checking the concentration of the chemicals. We could also take samples of fish to check the guts for plastic material or garbage. So about our next step would be raising funds to design piles well near the river bank and gathering youth to volunteer to raise awareness and do cleanups for the river from the man-made garbage. Furthermore, we could work with government agencies to ensure the implementation of the laws. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's about it. Ammar, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys could hear Shahad properly, but just to put it all into perspective for you guys, we figured out that curing or treating the Nile water objectively in itself, the already polluted water, would be quite expensive and quite unrealistic, seeing as how vast and huge the river Nile is. So if you realized a lot of our solutions were quite preventative measures to lower the chances or ultimately stop the pollution of further pollution of the Nile water. As we've seen, the first thing first was raising awareness. As a community, we simply cannot tackle an issue or problem without the involvement of the whole community. So raising awareness, and we've realized there has been quite, in fact, a lack of awareness on that issue within the Sudanese community. And the second, the waste discharge into the river water, which we tackled with the bioswale concept, which has the potential to be extremely effective, especially in the Sudanese surrounding. And finally with the implementation of laws, we simply cannot enforce or properly implement these measures if someone's just throwing plastic out into Nadal without being punished whatsoever. So yeah, I feel that we've tackled three problems with three excellent solutions. And yeah, if this project would be to be further actually implemented. I strongly believe that the pollution of the river Nile will be severely reduced. Thank you.
Yeah, and to add to that, we have made sure that bios wells are not just affordable by third world countries, but like Ammar mentioned, that they're also effective as well. So yeah, we made sure about that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Group 7. This is a very important topic that you presented on. The Nile is a big part of Sudan and provides a lot of lifelines to people. And we really appreciate how you have a very holistic approach to solving the problem. So working with the community, you know, thinking about design and actual engineering implementation, and then enforcing existing laws. I learned about the laws governing the water quality. I didn't actually know that before. So thank you so much, Group 7. Any questions?
Yeah.
Great job, guys. Okay, so we have our last group. Last but not least, we have group number 8. I'll show you their poster briefly, and then we'll stick around for their presentation. All right, so I think we're ready to hear from group number 8. This is our last group and our last presentation of the day. So group number 8 is presenting on why do we need soft skills, and we'll let them take the floor.
Hey everyone, I'm Nasra Abdullah. I'm a creative writer and third year information technology student, University of Khartoum. I'm gonna turn off my camera now so you can hear me better. Ahmed, you can introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Ahmed Bedreddin, 29 years old. I'm a communication engineer and a master degree student. Today we're going to show you a project about filling the gaps between the job market and the educational system in the soft skills. Nashwa.
Okay, I'm gonna. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Sorry, both communication. Okay, what are soft skills? Soft skills are non-technical skills that are broadly classified as a combination of personal qualities, interpersonal skills, and additional skills or knowledge that allow people to communicate effectively, collaborate, and successfully manage conflict. Personal qualities like the ability to have empathy, interpersonal skills like communication skills, additional skills like critical thinking, and all that. These all are soft skills. Okay, soft skills versus hard skills. Hard skills are teachable abilities or skill sets that are easy to quantify. Typically, you will learn hard skills in school, university, or work experience. On the other hand, soft skills are relatively more difficult to develop. Once you learn a hard skills, it's you will probably want you learn to drive a how to drive a car. But soft skills, if you're not born with soft skills, like some people are born better communicators, leaders, but some others are not. So you need to develop those skills. Here's some short list of soft skills and hard skills: time management, leadership, critical thinking, decision making, and hard skills like programming knowledge, language knowledge, machine operation, and so on. Why do we need, sorry for that, why do we need soft skills? They're important to human culture because they're the infrastructure that build communities. Communities are built with people, and you need people to communicate with each other, to respect each other, to understand each other. So you need them to know how to communicate with each other. That's why it's important. To have better relationships, you'll be a better listener. You'll understand them. Will have empathy for people. So be a better friend, better colleague, and so on. Increase your productivity in your career. Um, Probably all careers require some teamwork or working with your colleagues. So you can't actually work with them unless you have communication skills, unless you know how to work with other people to understand why do they do that and so on. And to build professional relationship with them and so on, and then thrive at your job. Soft skills influencing your career. These are some data, but so findings by Stanford Research Institute and Carnegie Mellon Foundation found that 75% of long-term job success depends upon soft skills mastery and only 25% on technical skills. Researchers at Harvard University, Boston University, and University of Michigan Wells School of Business found that workers with soft skills training are 12% more productive than those without them. So yes, you need hard skills, of course, they're essential, but you also need soft skills to work with people, to thrive at your job. What is the problem we're trying to highlight here? Even though soft skills are essential to communicate effectively with others and to have a seat on the job market, few universities in Sudan provide a soft skills course for their students, and not even for all the students, some specifications only, like management and marketing, and just few of them. So when you go for an interview or something, one of the few first questions from your employer will be about soft skills, and you're not actually taught soft skills. That way, that's a problem. Our design to fix this problem, as a start, we're going to provide an online soft skill course for faculty of mathematical science students in their first and last year, so they can have a better university experience and prepare them for a great career. There's so many open courses. So for now, due to Corona and so on, we're going to provide an online course. We found one Stanford University and A&B University also. They provide open courses for soft skills. So yeah, we can start with that. Also, accordingly, we're going to start a soft skill club where students get to exercise and develop their soft skills through different activities and make new friends in the process. They can read books together. They can have debates. They can work on their public speaking. We can have like fun context like egg dropping. So by providing the students with these skills, we're not only preparing them for their professional lives, but also to become better citizens of the world. And how is that? Because they will have empathy to each other. They will treat each other with respect. They will understand each other. They will communicate more effectively. And in the long run, this could have a significant effect on the economy, development, and human relationships in Sudan. So what is our next step? Starting a training center to educate more teachers so we can ensure that all students get the proper education they need to navigate the constantly changing world, and to help them have better job experiences and human connections, not only for university students, but we're going to try to help high school students, of course, because you don't only need it for job, you need it for basically life. It's human skills. And thank you. Ahmed will have something to add. And yeah, thank you.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, I'm going to. Okay, with the changing educational trends, versatility in educational courses, availability of masses of qualified personnel, the competition for the job acquisition and job sustainability is becoming more and more tough. So to get an edge over the competitors, students are left with the choices. But to add value to their hard skills, with the soft skills to expand their true potential hard skills or academic skills. Okay, there is a study made it by ABC or ABC organization. It says that the skills employees in India say will very important to the future of work. Some of the employees turn over their jobs because there is no courses of soft skills. Okay, I'm going to share you uh, the study. Okay. Okay, the employees who left the company because the lack of training and development opportunities in Japan, 60% of employees are left their jobs in Australia, 29, and in Singapore, 42%, and in India, 45%, and the average is 33%. Okay, the most important skills they need and the percentage of it is innovation and creativity is 77% and critical thinking, problem solving 76% and adaptability and flexibility is 73% and also the communication and leadership. Okay, for example, that we have Google. Google founder was Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They work as a team, so they depend on teamwork skill which is the most important soft skills. And also we have the founder of Apple. We have Steve Jobs and his partner Steve Ballmer and Ronald Wine. They work together to found this most successful company like Apple and Google. So so it's very important to including the soft skills in educational system. So these students will need it in the jobs in their jobs in the future. Even as tech skills remain the most in demand, soft skills are growing in prominence. This is because the tech is breaking out of its silos, and soft skills such as creativity, problem solving, and critical thinking are in demand to help expand the application of new technologies. The LinkedIn report shows the creativity, adaptability, and collaboration and time management allow people to navigate new information to make decisions effectively. So feel free to ask.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ahmed and Nashwa. In regards to the skill sets that these students may or may not have in college and in secondary school, um, what like of these things, what do you think is the area for the most impact in Sudan?
I thought we need it in, we can start it in Khartoum and we can spread it to the other states. We can begin it in the primary schools. It's very important, so we can begin apply it in the primary schools.
All right, wonderful. Ahmed or Abdullah Sheikhs, do you guys have any
Yes.
questions?
Thank you, Group 8 for your presentation. And you mentioned studying this in Khartoum. How much would it cost you guys to kind of like implement this project?
Sheikh, sorry, can you repeat your question?
Like how much would it cost to implement such a project?
As a start, nothing, literally. The online course wouldn't cost anything, but the center, the training center, I didn't actually do the math, so I'm not pretty sure.
As online, we don't need any cost, just a basic cost. Like we can create a website or something and uploading the materials like videos, books, links. After that, when it turns to reality, we need to establish a center.
Yes.
Wonderful. I think the focus on soft skills is very important. And I think you guys pointed out a lot of trends in the market. So what skills do the employers want? What does it look like in the international world? You showed some of the examples of different countries like India and the skills that their workers have. So, trying to be competitive, not only in Sudan, but in the global world. So thank you guys so much for your presentations. We want to thank all of our groups today for all of the hard work you've put in the course and your great presentations today. We really appreciate all of your energy, your perseverance, your hard work on these projects, the research, the innovation. We're truly impressed with all of you guys and your efforts. So thank you so much. I want to close by just giving our instructors maybe the chance to say a couple words. about the course and to thank you guys as students.
I'd say that like I'm very impressed and very proud of the students, and I'm feeling a bit teary because, you know, it's just been only 2 weeks, but like seeing the amount of work and that they put into their projects, and you know, the were challenges that some of the groups faced, but they overcame, and today we saw the product of their work. And all I can say is that I'm very proud of you guys, and I am telling you right now that if you continue in the same spirit, you're going to go very far in life. And I just want to encourage you guys to, and for some of these projects that you guys, and even all of them, are addressing really critical problems. And I encourage you guys to, you know, if you have time, think about ways in which you can actually make your projects into a reality.
Abdullah?
Yeah, as I just want to second what Shakes was saying. I'm really proud of each and every one of you guys, and I feel like these in these 2 weeks, I've learned so much from all of you. It really has been a great 2 weeks, and I want to encourage you guys to keep up this curiosity, keep up this excitement to learn, keep being active in your communities, and inshallah you'll all go to great heights. So thank you for being such great students. It really has been a pleasure being here with you for this program.
On behalf of myself, the entire Zahara team, our little teaching team here, we want to truly thank you guys, the students. It's been 2 weeks, but it's felt like a lot longer that we've known you guys, and we've really appreciated getting to know each and every one of you, knowing your passions, how much hard work you put into things, the other things that you're interested in. We just really appreciate getting to know you, and we hope that this will be a lifelong connection after this. And I wanted to just leave you guys with a quote. I think you all know that I think very highly of you, and you know, really are excited to see where you go in the future. But one of my favorite quotes is, if not now, when? And if not you, then who? So, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King always talked about the fierce urgency of now. And I want you guys to believe in yourselves and to rest assured that the change that you want to see, you're capable of making. As you've demonstrated today, you have wonderful ideas for the future of Sudan, for yourselves. And we really hope that you continue on this path. And, you know, always reach out to us as resources. We'll always be here to help you. So thank you guys all so much. Thank you to everyone who was on the live today. We're going to go ahead and shut it off. Yeah, but once again, thank you. Thank you to everyone.